Welcome to this class. In this tutorials we are going to be learning linked lists. We'll learn how to implement a linked list and how to code it. So let's start by explaining the linked list. So every linked list is made up of a node, and a node is basically made up of two fields: the value and the address to the next node. So a linked list will look like this, made up of nodes with values and address. So if you have the first value, value 1, value 2, value 3. So the address here we point to the next node. The address here of the next field we point to the next node, and this one we point to null, indicating the end of the list. So the end of the list, the next field always point to null. So these are different nodes on a list. So the first thing to do to implement a linked list is to have a node. So let's just jump right and start the implementation. So we've created a class here called myLinkedList, and the first thing I'm going to do is to create a class called node. So this is my node. My node has two values. We'll be storing integers in our list. So the first value will be an integer. The second value will be a node. So we can store the address of the next. So it's the same class node that stores the next node, so the address of the next node. So that's our node. The next thing is to have a head. In our linked list class, we always have the head that has the address of the first node, and we always have a size that keeps count of the number of nodes added in the list, so it's an integer. So each time we create a new linked list, we call our constructor called myLinkedList, and the constructor is going to be initializing the head to null and the size to 0. So the first method of a linked list is an isEmpty method. So this method is boolean, call it isEmpty, and it just simply returns the list, it returns if the list is empty. So the list is empty if the head is equals to null. So if the head of the list is equals to null, the head of this class, this head. If it's null, the list is empty. So what have we done? We have simply created a node in our linked list, and we call it head. If this node is null, then it's empty. That's what we've done. So let's test the class and see. We'll write a main method to test our linked list. So we'll create myLinkedList. MyLinkedList equals to new myLinkedList. So the first thing we do is sys out myLinkedList dot is empty. So it's going to return to us true. True means the list is empty. Now the next thing you want to do is to add an item in the list. So we go public void void add. So this method, we add an item to the list. The first thing to do to add an item to the list is to create a node to put the item. So we create a node, we call it new node, new node. Now we have the new node dot value will be equals to item, and the new node dot next equals to null. So what have we done? We have now created a new node. Yeah, we put the item here, and we put this field to null. So this is the item and this man is null. That's what we've done. Now we want to add this node. We check if the list is empty. So if it's empty, if it's empty, if the list is empty, it means there is nothing at the head. So simply the head will be the head of this class will be equals to the new node if the list is empty. And then else, if there is item in the list, so if the list is empty, the head will just point to this node. But if there is some other item, perhaps we have some other list having another item 2 and another pointing to another list that has item 3, that points to null. And we want to add this to our new node here. We want to add this new node, item 4. We have created a new node, we have put an item inside, and we have pointed the next field to null. So we want to link this man to this man. So what we have to do is we create another node called current that points to the same location as the head, and we keep checking the null. So we check the first node dot next. If it's not equals to null, we'll go to this node. We check this next field. If it's not equals to null, we'll go to this node. We check this next field. If it's equals to null, it means we are at the end of the list. So we can now add our new item to this field. So we now take this field and point it to our new item. Then we've added a new item to the list. So let's do that right away. So the first thing we have to do is to loop through to create the current. So with current will be equals to head. So this current points to the same location as the head, this current field. So current is equals to head. Now we loop while current dot next not equals to null. So while we are not at the end of the list, it keeps going, current keeps going. Why it's not at this end of this list, we keep changing current.next. Current will be equals to current.next. So current equals to current dot next. So we assign the next node, we assign the address of the next node to current. So current will now point to this next node. And if it's not null, we assign this address to current now, so that current will now point to this node. So we keep going until at the end of the list we will be sure that current will be null. So at that point we will now take current dot next. Instead of pointing to null, we now point it to new node. So at this end when current is at the end, instead of pointing to this null, we point it to this new node. So this new node already has this next point to null. So if we are looping through the list again, we will now have null at the end of the list. So that's how we add a new item to the list. Let's just jump right away and check if we're adding successfully. No, at the end we have to add size. So let's increase the size plus plus. So the size of the list is plus plus. Just write a few methods to print the size of that list. We'll call it size, and it will return an integer. So we now return this dot size. So the list is empty. We now go my linked list dot add. We add 10. My linked list dot add. We add 20. My linked list dot add. We add 30. So if we do this out, my linked list dot size we will be having 3. Let's do it. So 3. Initially it prints the list empty true, and then add 3 items and print 3. So in the next lecture we are going to be learning how to remove an item from the list. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please go right away and subscribe. Thank you.